live. Welcome to the Always Betting Podcast. I am your co-host, Pisky. I am joined by the Godfather and our Super Bowl special guest, Adam Beaglebets. What's going on, brother?
Hey, guys. Good to see you again.
Nice
to
to
be
see
on.
you, Adam.
Good to see you. Jesus Christ, look at this. We get started, and as soon as the first words are said, my Telegram starts going crazy. Calls from various parts of the world. What's going on, my man? Super Bowl Sunday, couple days away. Are you ready to rock and roll, Adam?
Yeah, pretty much. Still getting in more bets, but probably a lot of the good stuff's gone, but still finishing up.
Good stuff. Long season. How have things gone? How have things been? We haven't talked to you. We had you and the Goofy Newfie on as our guests this season. The Godfather and I pretty much hogged the airwaves with our terrible circa million picks. But how'd the season go?
I came on right at the start of NBA. Once NBA starts, I'm usually not doing a ton of football, more focused on NBA.
Right.
But I mean, it's been successful, but I will say it's definitely been less successful than previous seasons. I've seen a lot of changes in just a lot of different, lines move earlier. Same game parlay pricing they just rip you off like more than they used to on the same kind of bets. Sites kick you off quicker, and it kind of compounds a little bit because it's like the opening lines might not be that competitive still, more so than before, but not at super competitive. But then if you're betting overnights, you lose the account in a day, and if you wait to the next day, then the lines start to move. So I mean, just nature of the business. I was a poker player back kind of during the boom, like 2008 or so is when I became professional there, and from like say 2008 to 2011, it's like unbelievable how much harder the games got. So I feel like seeing it happen again, it's like you kind of used to it, you kind of expect it. So a little bit less of a shock this time through, but it's still going well, still making money, but I'd say less bets, but like for sure less bets per day than I had before. Like just not seeing as many edges, so can't bet it if it's not an edge.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And the Godfather and I can relate. We've been through account losing hell in the last calendar month, doing some of the NBA stuff that we do. And yes, we're still doing our weird soccer and our tennis and stuff. And I know that doesn't help. But I mean, there have been some changes or something on a lot of these quote unquote recreational / predatory sports books because I've never seen it this bad before where you're struggling to stay alive after 10 bets, and then things are getting limited. You're losing them left, right, and center. There's even been a couple websites that we've run into a problem where they're like, no, we're going to confiscate balances. That's what we're doing now. So it didn't happen, thankfully, but the threat has been there. Yeah, the threat has been there. So I totally get what you're saying. And things have been tightening up in terms of just opportunities to find edges and stuff. Are you noticing that mainly in props? Because that's mostly what you bet, right?
Yeah, it's mostly what I do. I'd assume, I mean, I'm kind of of two minds at the same time. I think there's always going to be opportunities and always going to be edges, just because it's not like a closed system like blackjack or something. Like it's always the books can never price everything well. Like things are going to change on news, just date. It's just too much going on to be priced perfectly. But I think there's just a lot more people competing, and books are also just getting a lot sharper at identifying a winning player. A few years back, I think they were these. It was like a race to get market share, sell it to your shareholders. They didn't necessarily really care if you were winning. They just, hey, look how much volume we have, look how many customers we have. And now it's like, but it's not. They figured out it's not any value to have a winning customer. Like,
the leash has definitely been shortened. Without question. Like
it's crazy, and something we've stumbled upon here, which the Godfather and I scratched our head and said maybe we just do an episode about this in its entirety, is the MGMs talking to each other. So BetMGM, Sports Interaction, BWin, and Party Poker. Up here in Ontario, when you lost one of those accounts, you could simply go sign up to another one and you'd have fresh limits, no bet history, and you're good to go. Nowadays, as the calendar flipped into 2025, I mean, you're done at one, you're done at all of them. You don't even get a single bet at the next ones. And we spoke about it on the podcast earlier this season. Bet99 and FitzTheirs was doing the same thing, where the same parent company or same odds provider, and once you're done at one of them, you're done at all of them. So nothing but troubles. Nothing but no winning allowed.
Like from their point of view, like if their risk providers have deemed you to be like an undesirable customer, like it's honestly just good business. So I do begrudge them on a personal level, but I don't necessarily begrudge them on an intellectual level. Like I see what they're doing, but I'm not a good customer for these books. Like, so I get it.
I agree,
but
man.
I don't like it, but I get it.
Yeah, and we're in the same boat, right? The Godfather and I have been bookmakers more than we have been. We call ourselves recreational gamblers. Let's stick with that. We get it. We get it from a sports book's perspective. They're there to make money. We've been on
the other side.
Yeah, they're there to make money. I get it. But what I would like to see is them put up a little bit of a fight, right? What do you really know after a couple bets? And I kind of get it. But, they used to put up a fight. They used to, go toe-to-toe for a few weeks and – let's see how it plays out. And now they're not even doing that. It's like I'm taking my ball and going home. And it's been tough. It's been tough to really deal with that. But we're not here. We're not here to bitch about limitations and stuff. I know it always goes in that direction because we all deal with it. But the first thing I want to talk about, Adam, you're a big NBA props bettor. What the hell has gone on in the NBA in the last 5 days?
Oh. I would say if you do two completely separate categories, right? There's a bunch of trades, some of which you might not totally like for all the teams, but all just normal trades that you could at least steel man the case for both sides fairly easily, like reasonable transactions. And then there's the Luka trade, right? Like,
I want your opinion on it.
I don't even have anything to really say on that other than it's probably the worst trade I can, by. Maybe it's hard to say in results. There's been some really crazy ones if you look at how players have turned out and things, but in terms of like least defensible at the time it was made, has to be the worst trade in like North American sports history. I don't know about Europe or what's going on over in China or whatever, but I can't think of anything like this. Like it doesn't make sense.
I mean, a 25-year-old like phenom. I mean. So I don't know. Some of the opinions I've seen is like, maybe short term the deal makes sense, but if you look at this long term, like
crazy, right?
Who trades Luka Doncic?
And I don't even think it particularly makes sense in the short term. I think the Mavericks got a little bit worse in the short term. And much, 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 much worse, projecting a few years into the future. So it just doesn't.
I don't.
When it happened, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say when it happened, it still would have been a bad return, but I assumed the only possible explanation is that Luka had said he was unhappy there and he was going to leave a year and a half. And when it came out that wasn't true, it just became beyond. Like went from an F to an F minus. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like,
well, you know what? Hopefully LeBron retires soon. So as an ex-Laker fan, I love Luka, so I'm all about Luka over to the Lakers. We've got Kobe 2.0. Let's go. I'm good with that.
Unbelievable, that franchise. They went from Magic Johnson to Kobe Bryant. Maybe I'm skipping a little bit, but Shaq was there, and then
Shaq, then Kobe,
hey, man.
And then they get into LeBron, and now Luka. Like that's ridiculous.
Kareem before before Magic, Jerry West before that. It's
You got to be good to put up with Adams' Celtics.
That's true.
They've had like half the great players of all time have been in the Lakers at some point, basically.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I don't follow that closely. I've just been obviously reading all the headlines like everyone else. And I know that really successful gambler, you must be aware of him, Adam, Vulgaris?
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, Bob, yeah, exactly. Who used to work for the Mavericks, right? He used to be quantitative data analyst or something like that. And those were his words specifically. Worst trade in sports history. So...
I've seen
And
people try to come up with, I'm not going to claim I'm some encyclopedia knows every sport trade in every sport, but I've seen people try to come up with comparable ones, and none of them honestly seem close. So I feel like if there was one as bad, I would have heard about it by now. It's
yeah.
not,
Yeah.
it's.
Well, the first piece that I saw on social media, I was like, I didn't want to believe it. Fake news, right? Like, I'm like, yeah, okay, Luka.
Yeah.
But then I saw who was reporting it, and it was Shams, right? Who's the new Wojo. And I'm like, what? Like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And then, yeah, within 5 minutes, it was like,
Boom.
Jesu Cristo. It really went down?
I mean, there's a lot of ways to tell it's a bad trade, but if every single person thought that the most likely explanation of that tweet is that he was hacked, that's a good sign that it's not a good, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody saw that first tweet and just believed it. They were just like,
No.
if you tell me he was hacked or like in the first,
Yeah.
I was actually asleep at the time, but in the first minute, I would have set the line, minus 900, he was hacked. Like,
There you
Right?
go. Like, I honestly, I'm like, I swear, I remember saying to myself, yeah, okay. And that was it.
They said the same when Trump released his meme coin. Everyone thought it was a hack because they're like, "There's no
yeah.
way the president's going to do that," and here we are. Like this
Here
is
we are.
25. Nothing makes sense anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah. Nothing
But
makes
yeah,
sense.
okay. So that's obviously dominated the headlines lately, and I mean, Christ, anything can happen. Like if Luka Doncic can get traded, no one's untouchable, right?
Yeah, you'd
I mean,
think
I
so.
guess, but I also just think like he just has to be the worst GM in the history of professional sports. And like, I
And
don't think, the T-Wolves are going to just randomly give away Edwards, Celtics give away Tatum or something. Like,
and
I
I
guess you
was
never
gonna
know, but
I was gonna say the same thing, Adam. I was gonna say all it takes is one shit GM and then anybody can get traded. But typically that caliber of player does not move,
Yeah.
does not willfully get traded.
Is it comparable to the Gretzky trade? Were you shocked, Godfather, when that happened way back
Yeah,
in
of
the
course.
day?
I
I
was
was too
shocked.
young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, last thing before we move on to the important stuff that everyone has showed up for, which is the Super Bowl prop talk. Is his conditioning actually like really bad? Is this guy like have a drinking problem or something?
I mean, as far as I can tell, he's not the most serious off the court in terms of how he takes care of himself. And if you tell
Okay.
me that, he's not going to be, in Steph shape in his mid to late 30s, like, yeah, probably not unless he changes his ways. That's fair. But I've seen
Okay.
people even try to say, compare him to Embiid and say, like, maybe they feared he'd break down like Embiid. He's 5 years younger than Embiid. If that was true, he'd still have 5 more years of being an MVP caliber player before he breaks down. Like, it doesn't, if you kind of project, not the absolute worst case, but a realistic worst case scenario for his career, it still makes no sense. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he's put on a few pounds since his rookie year, but then again, haven't we all? I mean, come on, that is fake news. That's fake news. His conditioning, are you fucking kidding me?
yeah,
You
it's like
trade
maybe
him?
20% true, but it's like it doesn't remotely justify if Anthony Davis was 25, I still wouldn't like the deal, but you could say that maybe there's a gamble for the Mavericks that Luka's not going to stay in shape and that Davis is going to have this great career and it's going to end up looking smart even though it looks dumb now. But with
Yeah,
Davis being 31, I just don't think
31 and breaking down every other week.
yeah, I just
Hello,
don't
come
think
on,
there's
let's
any
be
way
honest
that
here.
it can play out in his favor. Like almost no matter what happens, I'll never think it could have made any sense.
Yeah,
And I was gonna add Daryl Moore. I immediately saw that trade and went and ripped him off on a small scale trade. He just saw there was a small trade between the Sixers and the Mavericks. It's
Okay.
like Moore. I just immediately saw this guy has no idea what he's doing. And
yeah. Let me strike while the iron is hot.
That's how
yeah,
the
it's like figuring
Godfather
out who the sucker at the poker table is, and you
Listen
just
to this guy. Here it comes. That's how the Godfather operates in fantasy. Well, hey, listen.
Well, fuck, you're taking the words right out of my mouth. What are you
There
doing?
you go.
All I've kept seeing for the last 3 or 4 days since this happened is that video of, I think it's Michael Finley, which is an ex-player, I believe, director of player personnel or something like that, taking the beer away from him after they went to the NBA championship last year. Did you guys see that? Like outside the locker
yeah, I
room?
saw that.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah.
So that's why I ask about the conditioning and does he have a little bit of a party problem? Anyways, okay, we're burying that. We're moving on.
1 second though. 1 sec. One quick question. What about this Rozier situation, Adam?
What I can tell doesn't seem to have a ton of validity.
Okay.
He didn't play
With the
again.
whole girlfriend thing and all that shit?
Best I can tell, my best guess is it's not true. Not a strongly held opinion. If it is, he should certainly be banned for life. You can't be having that.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Fair
but I mean,
enough.
he's also made, I don't know, $130 million lifetime earnings or something. If he was doing this, it's very, very stupid. Some people
Yeah.
do stupid things. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
impossible. The NBA supposedly looked into it and didn't find much. Maybe they're just trying not to look too hard. I have no idea, but it would be a very
Okay.
bad look if it comes out to be true. But
Oh, fuck yeah. They don't need any more of that shit.
No,
Cool.
the gambling thing. That's what we're talking about, right? With the
Yes.
yeah,
Rozier?
there's
Yeah, I
supposedly
saw
that
it.
he like was checked out of a game because.
Right.
And there was some
Yeah,
guy
it's
on Twitter who always trolls when people like when there's injuries and people ask for refunds, he always trolls and it's like, oh, like you could have bet the under. And he had some tweet from 2 years ago when this happened. He goes, "Well, you see, I had like inside info that he was gonna check out of the game, and he showed some like $100 bet slip."
Yeah.
And then people dug up that like, "Oh, this guy's going to jail." Like,
Did you say
I,
there's trolls on Twitter? Is that what you
I
said?
think it's such a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Does that
Never see it.
happen?
Yeah, there's a couple of those guys on there. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
The refund people might deserve to get trolled a little bit,
Yeah,
though. To be fair,
yeah,
like,
that is fair. That is fair.
That is fair.
As
Fair.
with my bookmaker hat on, yes, I believe that is totally fair. This is a new wave of player coming into the sports gambling space now, and if we used to bitch like that back in the day, when I was just getting into the industry, oh my god, talking about being shut down and labeled a scumbag for life. That's
Yeah.
exactly what would have happened. Okay,
Okay.
Super Bowl Sunday. My first
day.
question is, and I don't want this to be like an interview, Adam. Like we're just shooting the shit, we're having a good time, but I'm curious to know: do you approach Super Bowl Sunday different than you would approach a regular NFL Sunday?
yeah, quite a bit different.
Yeah.
So it's changed some over the years, but there's so much. So one thing that's changed in some ways is in many ways, a lot of the prices are actually priced a lot better because a lot of these sites offer things like not as big a menu, but they offer a much bigger menu
Yeah.
for the whole season than they used to. So if you're gonna like the old days, if you were only gonna offer fumbles or interceptions or something like once a year, it's like you might really have no idea how to price it. But now if it's gonna be offered every single game, so sometimes it's actually counterintuitive. Some of the sharper books that don't offer a ton of props are sometimes actually softer on some of these Super Bowl books because they're only
Oh.
offering it once a year compared to DraftKings is offering a lot of the stuff year round or whole
Okay.
season.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of stuff that's not offered, and typically I do bet the player props and the more mainstream stuff, but typically the best value is going to be on the stuff that's not offered week to week.
So those
Okay.
all those exotics.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, Caesars, they opened. Would there be probably 3 Super Bowls ago now? They opened. Would there be 1,000 yards of total offense? I think they opened like minus 450. And I had a account with just insane amount of like just a ton of money in it because they would been letting me bet NBA all season. And I think that happens in like 1.2% of games. So I bet like minus 450, minus 650, minus 900, minus
Oh.
1100, minus 1300. And then I saw on Twitter they said like the most bet money on each prop in each state. And it was like entirely my friend's account. Just like
Come on. Oh
he
my
was like
god,
the
that's a
most.
great story. That's a great story.
And so now this year, I think that same prop opened like I don't know, minus 2,500, which like in theory is probably still value, but at Caesars is hard to get accounts at these days, and I don't have
Exactly.
anything on that these days, So
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff does get cleaned up from year to year. Last year's maybe the first year I really noticed a big change in some of the stuff not being as sharp, not being as soft.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me because if you don't have practice doing something, you're going to be shit at it. And if
Yeah.
they're constantly offering these things all season long, they're going to have a better idea of how to price
For sure.
things. Yeah. You got a question, Godfather?
No, I was going to talking about the plethora of options. I couldn't help but notice, I believe it was Caesars had a GRP prop.
Yeah.
Like
I saw that on Twitter.
Oh, Jesu,
Yeah.
come on, man.
No shade to George, but I think between the value on the prop combined with how like just weird a bet it is, that might be the worst bet I've ever seen offered. I
Well,
didn't price it out. It is not 85 to 1. It is much longer than 85 to 1. And
okay.
also, who would even want to root for that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even understand.
What
Like,
There you go.
what's the exact bet again? Do
it
you
was
know
the
it? Like,
Chiefs to win by 13 to
13
18 and a
and
defensive player to win
to win
MVP.
MP.
oh my,
And
Who
it's
would?
only
yeah,
85 to 1.
yeah, Jesus. Well,
I don't know
that's
what's worse. It's not good. It's not a good bet.
That's
Not a good
that's
bet.
that
that.
is not a good bet.
Yeah, that's bananas. Do you think there's a prop out there that is generally overbet by the squares that bet the Super Bowl?
Um, yeah. I mean, I think some of just the most mainstream stuff that seems very obvious, like it's going to happen. Um, you have to line shop, but like I've got a decent amount down on stuff that just seems like I have Philly not to get a fourth down conversion, which yeah, I know I'm
Okay.
going to lose probably, but I think I got like plus 490, plus 430.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and I've seen other sites that were shorter than that, so it was definitely line shopping that. And yeah, I expect to lose. I think I could get a fourth down, but it's like it just seems so obvious they'll get a fourth down, but they didn't
Oh,
get one
okay.
every single game. Or one that I think is still pretty available is like Barkley not to get a TD, priced at around
Okay.
minus 155. I think you can still probably get around plus 170 or so out there
On the
See,
no?
on the no, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
so
Okay.
for all our listeners out there, if you tend to not want to believe that I'm recreational, these two props that Adam just brought up, I am on them over. I will parlay those two to both happen. Like, are you kidding me? So yeah, I mean,
So he
there's the
actually got.
sharp guy to my left. I'm the square recreational. Pisky somewhere in between, and here we go.
So I actually think he's only scored about half his games, maybe just over this season. Now he does have a lot of games with two, so I think that's some negative variance. But the team total I think is a little bit lower than the points they've scored this year. And Hurts just runs it in so much. So like,
Right.
Yeah,
yeah, he's probably going to score a cheat. A lot of my bets, yeah, I expect to lose. I'm not like going around saying if you want easy money, bet on Barkley not to score a
yeah.
TD. But I think it's
Right.
going to happen 61% of the time, and I only need to hit if I could a little bit, if that happens, then I'll make a little money on the
Oh,
overtime. So
gotcha.
it's
You
just
know
such a
what?
big portfolio of like random things. Like I found a super off market price on Kareem Hunt under 4.5 rushing yards his first attempt. Like, that's like
Oh.
a just like
Oh,
random stuff that like just seems like you wouldn't even, uncorrelated to each other. You just kind of add it all up and hope at the end of the day
that
Yeah.
one I
So
can
it
digest
stacks
a
up.
bit. If I may
Yeah, I
ask
mean
you
the
a
main 3.5 was the main
yeah,
market on that. I just found a 4.5 that was sitting out there and
yeah.
gobble it up. So
If I may ask you a question, Adam, I've seen some props where you now get a over under number on the number of the player who is going to score the first touchdown in the game. Have
yes,
you seen any of these?
that's actually been a bet for us in past years. This year, I
Oh,
thought it
so
was
it's not
priced.
new. It's just I
It's
never
not
saw it.
new. It's not new.
Okay.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I've seen sites list 15.5 and 25.5, but there's like nobody who scores touchdowns in between those two numbers, so it's like the
Yeah.
same bet. This
Because
year,
I
it's
saw
actually
that. Right.
yeah,
And
I've seen that before. I think that actually goes back a while,
okay.
maybe even like way back to like,
There you
like
go.
Vegas, like pre-legalization days. Some years that actually has been a bet for us. This year, the guy I work with on the Super Bowl usually prices that one out. This
Mm-hmm.
year, he said he just thought it was a good line, and I haven't really seen any action on it either way all week, so he was
Because
probably right on that. Yeah.
yeah, I did see it on social media, and they broke it down, and they're like, okay, for you over players, here are the players that you're going to get, and they're like 26 Barkley and every everyone else, and then you guys on the under, and they got Jalen Hurts and right, and I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah,
Mahomey.
they did it well this year, so
Yeah,
no
so
real
like
edge.
I found that interesting. So I wanted to ask you if it's a new thing but if
Yeah,
you've seen it
yeah.
before, then
Yeah, it's a
Where
fun one, but just this year, you price it out.
gotcha.
Sometimes you price it out, and at the end of the day, you wasted 10 minutes, but you only know until you start doing it. So
Yeah, true that.
for that fourth down one, Adam, where do you think the value lies? Like down to what plus number? Because you said you're up at plus 490, plus 475. Where
I
would you
wouldn't
say?
probably
Yeah.
take it. I probably wouldn't play it below like plus 400 or so.
Okay,
Yeah,
plus
I
400 and
agree.
above. Okay, I'm just writing this
Yeah,
down. I just take a
yeah.
note.
They although I have some other ones I like a little bit more. Like I have an under 2.5 total fourth downs, uh,
Okay.
which I liked a little bit better. But
So are
I mean,
these
a lot.
official
Yeah,
plays? I know people are tuning in because of what you did
Yeah.
last year on this podcast. I think it was what, a perfect 6-0 or something.
I think 4-0. It was actually my first ever losing Super Bowl, but I just saved the winners for you guys.
No,
That's
thank you very much.
At
that's the
least
thing.
first, maybe I've had losing ones like way back since I've sort of doing a lot of props every year. I know it's the first one.
You made us look very good last year.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
sir.
Looked incredible. So just to give everyone an idea, because that's what I tell people, right? People are like, always send me picks, send me plays, and sometimes whatever you send them 5 plays, they go 5-0. Other times they could be from the same batch. One guy goes 5-0, the other guy goes 0-5. So how many bets total would you make on a Super Bowl? Someone who does this stuff for real.
For real.
Many dozens. I'm not sure because I won't. I mean, it looks like way over 100, but I know some of them are repeats, so I'm not really sure
Okay.
like exactly how many unique ones in terms of like bets placed. It's like way over 100, but a lot of them are hitting the same bet. So
Okay,
not.
gotcha.
I don't have like an exact count, but
So
yeah.
that's what it is. So I
Closer
want
to
to just
100 than yeah, probably closer to 150 though. I'd say even on unique
okay.
stuff.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So
If I
there you go. I
sorry,
just wanted to
Piss.
highlight that because people think that some of us in this industry have this like crystal ball that we can look into and pick out magic winners. It's not like that. It's a volume game, and last year, sure, 4-0 or whatever it was, and it just happened to be the right 4 that he shared with us here on the pod.
I wanted to ask Adam, are you a grading junkie like me? Like I like grading. I like grading, I think, more than putting in my place.
I
Like,
was a grading junkie for almost my entire career. This year, I actually have somebody working for me who helps send out the plays and do a lot of the grading. So I've like
okay.
this year, I've like finally like actually stopped working sometime at
So
night.
you've delegated. Very good. I
I
commend
no
you,
longer.
sir, on that.
I mean, before I had kids, like I would just, a work class. Especially, I actually did have kids at this point, but like they were very young, or like just one, I guess,
No.
at the time. And like when I started seeing some of these limits on legals, like I would just, I would bet every season overnight, and I'd just grade everything, wake up, just start doing it. Like it was just nonstop, and it paid off. I'm happy I did it. I was saying before, I've been through it with poker, with seeing how an opportunity can become so good and then disappear on you at the same time. So it's kind of like strike when the iron's hot. If you told me you got some 20-year career at the same earning potential, I would have taken a little easier. But I knew that was absolutely not the case. So
That's the thing, and it's always about balance like that, right? A lot of the outs that we have to deal with, or even the legals here in Ontario, it's like, do you go in heavy and hard and beat the crap out of them in a week, or do you go slow and soft and throw in some parlays, throw in some square stuff, Dallas Cowboys and the over, Monday Night Football, shit like that, right? There's always a fine balance, and you have to scratch your head and wonder. But like you said, we're here for a good time, probably not a long time.
Probably not a long time. No.
unless that billionaire's right, who's trying to like live forever. If he figures stuff out, maybe we'll be here for a long time. But the guy used to like take his I forget his name now, but like inject his son's blood to like.
Really? I don't even know that. What
Yeah,
is this? What the fuck? Godfather.
Iron Johnson. I don't know. I've seen him around on Twitter. He's like his goal is to like live forever. So.
I mean, yeah, you got to shoot for the stars, but I don't know. Like Christ, I just don't know if that's really good for anything.
I don't know about that either, but
yeah. Okay, Adam, we're at the 30-minute mark here. I want to respect your time. I greatly appreciate you popping in here. Are there any last-minute bets that you've played yourself? And
give us at least 3 or 4, something like that.
I got 4 bets. 3 of them are kind of niche and a little bit off market or not widely available, but I'm not trying to show I'm the smartest. I'm trying to give you some winning bets. So
Gotcha.
on FanDuel, in game props, they called something like brotherly shove. It's like, will Hurts have over under 2.5 first downs of 2 yards or less rushing, and also
Okay.
it also discounts if he's like scrambles it from the shotgun. And
Okay.
I actually got the under at plus money. I think it's up to minus 122, but my partner like queried he was only getting 1.8 per game, so minus 122 would actually still be a great bet there. Also on
Okay.
FanDuel, they have game props. Um, they have will a sack come before a touchdown, plus 152. I think that's somewhat off market and a pretty good bet.
Okay.
Oh, I like plus 152.
Plus 152, yeah. Most sites have it as a small plus money, but not so big. And then
FanDuel.
Well, so just before, what would you play these until? Because that's what I always like to keen on, like because I know the markets there'll be different things available and stuff like that, and I think it's really important that we steer people not to overbet this. Like if you're saying minus 122 has still value, does minus 145 have value?
let's say 135. My intuition is 135. It could probably go past that, but I'll give that as a cutoff. And the
Okay.
sack, I'll say plus 140 as a cutoff.
Nice. I
And
like that
then
second one, brother.
And then in the era of line shopping, I have no idea how this survived. But, Mahomes has been 210 to about 213 and a half. I mean, Hurts has been 210 to 213 and a half all week. Hamby
That's what.
books like Bet Rivers, they've
Yeah.
had minus 199 and a half all week.
Really?
So I like 9, 10 days. I've loaded up on that. I recommend to anyone who can get access to a Canby book do the same.
They
I'll make the
sleepy. They
I'll make
sleepy,
the I'll
brother.
make the official 199 and a half. But also over 219 and a half, over 239 and a half are good because those are priced as derivatives of 199 and a half. So if you
Okay.
want to have a
Okay.
little fun, throw on some overs, those are good too.
Because you'll get some
And
plus
then
money there. Yeah.
one more widely available one
I like.
is I say Barkley, no TD, good to plus 170, which I know Circa had. Probably have to line shop a little bit around on that, but
I like that one. I was talking to the Full Dog earlier this week when he was because he placed the bet. I'll give his bet away. He placed the bet on Jalen Hurts to be MVP plus 370 or better.
Yeah, I have like plus
Yeah.
360 on that, I think.
And
Yeah.
we had a little powwow about it. I'm like, what do you see there? And he's just like, well, Barkley's been like Superman. So what he's done is very difficult to do. And I think in both playoff games, he's like busted a run right out of the gate.
60, 70 yard TD. Like,
you gotta think KC's going to be ready for that, or like
and KC's
right?
a better run defense than a pass defense. The game's expected to, Chiefs, the Eagles have led, some vast majority of the minutes this year. So yeah, I like Mahomes there too. I mean Hurts there to be MVP too. I think I played around plus 360.
Okay, yeah,
certainly.
He said it was a good number too. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah,
Adam,
I've seen
on
like
that,
I've
and
seen
Fuller,
like plus 280 or whatever. So definitely shop it around. But yeah, I think that's a big thing in the Super Bowl is to remember that like Barkley's had one of the best seasons of all time. So like, yeah, he's gonna have a good game probably, but it's hard to replicate that. And the cheat.
All the numbers are so goddamn high on him because of what he's done, and it's like, yeah, maybe over the course of the season or something, but this is one game. They got to shut him down for one game. So I know I buy into that. That things seem to be a little inflated on Barkley right now. So that's that. Okay.
Yeah, I still lean. I won't make it an official play because it's come down some, but I do. If you want to shop around on his yards, I have some unders on his yards. If you kind of get the best in market, I take the under there. I was on his longest rush under, but that's come down a couple yards, so I'll give that out. Sorry about the noise here, guys.
Yeah, no, all good. That means the party time is over.
But, back to work.
Back to work, yes. All right, my man. We're gonna. I haven't sent the link yet, so I'm gonna have to throw this on pause for a sec. But we have our second guest coming on. Adam, we're gonna let you go. But I want to thank you very much for doing this again. The amount of DMs that I got that threatened the Godfather and I. If you don't have Beagle Bets on again, we're tuning you guys out. We're blocking you from social media. We don't want to hear from you again. So thank you for giving the people what they want. And
yeah, no problem. And my last piece of advice for people betting it would be like just line shop it. If you have a bet that looks fun, you want to bet whatever, AJ Brown longest reception over, get 24 and a half, not 26 and a half. So whatever you feel like betting, get a good price, and you're probably not doing too bad. And I know Super Bowl people want to bet for fun. Nothing wrong with that, but just give yourself a chance there. If you're taking the worst of stuff, hard to win.
Yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot before the game even begins, and that you know what? Thank you for reading my question page, because that's exactly the last question that I had here. I said, casual fan betting, what's one thing to avoid? And that one thing to avoid is taking a really crap number on something that you're betting.
Yeah, if you want, Mahomes under TDs or Mahomes over TD, it's not, you can get a pretty close to it. Maybe not an actual R, but 10-cent spread or something if you shop it around. So either one's fine if you're getting the best of it.
Gotcha.
Beautiful.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
again, my man. Okay, wait, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Said Chiefs last year, say Chiefs again. 17-1 when he doesn't have to play Brady in the playoffs. Got to go with it.
I'm the same way. I've heard a lot of my friends doing this thing, and the Fly Eagles fly, and I'm like, but Mahomes. Are we forgetting
people
Mahomes?
have mottos, and they're telling me about who's got the better secondary or whatever. I believe them. I just throw back in Mahomes.
Yeah.
We haven't lost money betting against Mahomes, have we?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Good luck, Adam. And again, we appreciate you coming on. You're a great friend of the podcast, and we love having you on.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Good luck with the Super Bowl.
Take care. Have a good one.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thanks. Ciao. Okay, so he's gone, and let me just... And we are back. Our second special Super Bowl special guest joins us from Newfoundland. Ladies and gentlemen, the Goofy Newfie returns. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, Goof?
Doing so well. How are we?
I like
We're
the hat.
good.
Ready for the big game? Oh,
Yeah,
Gotta
there
rip
you
it
go.
right now.
The
Very
vintage
nice.
Manfield Group hat. There you
Very
go.
nice.
sir.
What's with the hoodie? What is that? Oh, hey.
Oh, my God.
Bobby
Trust-
Pizza stamp.
Gotcha. Well, I you know what? Before we get started, I got something to say about Betstamp. They actually have a crazy ass promo going on. Did you hear about this, Goof? Yeah.
yeah, 99 cents for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. You get the Super Bowl screen. Well, why don't we start by talking about that? Because you're a big Betstamp Pro user, so
Yep.
it's going to show you, I guess, all the Super Bowl props out there, and we'll be able to see where there's some value.
You got it. Basically, what the tool does is you can put all of your sports books that you have available to you in your in the app, and it'll basically give you a true line based on sharp books, and then you can just sort of pick off poor numbers on slower moving legal books.
Nice.
PPHs, things like that.
And you can get this
But I'm
for
looking at it right
99
now.
cents?
99 cents for the Super Bowl. I mean, why not try it? I'm looking at it right now. There's 8 edges on books that I use, just looking at the screen right now.
Really?
I mean, that'll refresh, and tomorrow, tonight, stuff is gonna move around. There'll be a bunch of new stuff. I mean,
Sweet.
no brainer. Try it.
Well, yeah, we'll do a little plug
Nice.
because the Betstamp boys asked if I could mention it on my social channels, and we ended up putting together this pod episode for the people. So Betstamp Pro or betstamp.com/Pisky is where you want to go, and I think you may have to do a call. That's the way they have the Betstamp Pro set up right now. But yeah, you can get the odd screen for $1. That's the promo they have going.
That's
on.
a steal.
Super
That's
badass.
a steal.
Why
That's a
not
steal.
do it? Why not?
Why not? I mean, you're gonna make $1. I promise.
Yeah. There you go.
Free.
There you go.
And,
And
go
if
see
you
what the
can't,
product's all
Jesus
about.
Cristo, you got bigger problems.
We're in trouble.
So how's prep been? I asked Adam Beaglebets. We had him on just before you. Do you guys? So he gave us his answer, but do you approach Super Bowl Sunday different than a regular NFL Sunday?
Yes, you have to. I mean, the Super Bowl is as much an entertainment event as it is
A football game,
right?
Yeah,
It really is. I mean, you can bet on everything from the coin toss at the start of the game to the color of the Gatorade at the end of the game. And you have to take that into account. I mean, if you're having people over, you're having a party, like I'm going to throw, lunch money on all this stuff. So you want to have a bit of fun with it. You had to treat it that way. But I mean, I think the market itself has also changed a lot over the last, say, even 3-4 years. I remember when I was really starting to get into this, the first Tuesday after the conference championship games is when a lot of books would release their numbers.
Mhm.
I mean, today, I think FanDuel put out their numbers literally like 5 minutes after the Chiefs won. And
I believe
at that point,
Really?
at that point, all the other books sort of have a market to go off of. So there's a lot less rogue prices and stuff you can pick off early in the markets. That was a big part of my portfolio. This year I have surprisingly little bets, I'm just kind of waiting it out. I mean, there's a couple of overs that I like, but it's still, this is the one game of the year you almost want to wait it out because the public will move the market in all of these markets.
Okay.
There's enough public money coming in that on props especially, I mean, there's going to be so much money on people betting Travis Kelce overs and Patrick Mahomes overs and things like that. Like, they just create free value on game day. So, I mean, I like all my numbers, like all this stuff now. I'm just kind of waiting to bet the unders at the best possible time because the public is just going to drive this stuff up. It's the one game a year you can truly wait as an advantage player, and the public will do a lot of work for you.
Nice. So I think I can read between the lines there. I'm not that much of a dummy. If you're looking to bet an under, you got to wait.
Yep.
But
I mean, that's
I would
cardinal rule. Bet your overs now because they're going to move. If you like somebody over, the public is probably also going to drive that over. You're going to get your best price early in the week. So if you liked an over, probably should have bet it already because it's already moved.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah.
It is. The major market moves are still Saturday, Sunday for the NFL. I mean, people are going to Vegas for the Super Bowl. Your buddies that you're going to watch the Super Bowl with probably haven't placed $1 yet. So like that's coming this weekend. You're going to see an influx watching like the Betstamp Pro screen on Sunday afternoon. It's going to light up under. That's just how it's going to work.
Did any of these regulated sites have issues closer to the game last year? I don't know. I was at the goddamn Rebel place in Toronto drinking my face off, so I wasn't really paying attention to the board and stuff because I know in the past you had to be very careful with not trying to do something too last minute because the websites would literally go down and crash. And shit like that.
Yeah, it's like
the
you
traffic
have
nuts.
100,000 people going through a door at one time, right? Like
Yeah.
The traffic becomes insane. That's exactly what you're gonna.
Right. So maybe don't wait too long because that is a little thing that I've dealt with in the past where even like this is going way back, but the BetUS days, like holy shit, an hour before game time, an hour before the Super Bowl was kicking off, the phones never stopped. This is back in the phones day. Yes, I am a bit of a dinosaur. But the website would crash too. And all the credit websites would crash as well. And so, make sure you don't wait too late. But that's a good strategy. Let the public move the number and then...
And then go against the public.
Yeah.
But I will say that it's a Super Bowl and you can't use your regular projections and things like that for a game like this. All bets are off. Like you have no idea in a moment. Like last year we had McCole Hardman who didn't play a role whatsoever. Got a crazy touchdown to win the Super Bowl. Who could that be this year? We don't know. We really don't know.
That's right.
There's nothing left in the playbook. Fire away. So
Goofy, you do this prop stuff for real, right? You are a piranha in the lake. Let me ask you, how many Super Bowl bets are you going to make for the weekend? Like serious one, not the joking shit that you're going to have fun with your girlfriend and stuff. I want serious bets. How many do you think?
I would say somewhere probably between 15 and 20. Just because you get more markets on a lot of players that you wouldn't get markets on. Because you can literally bet on guys that have 3 carries all season. Are they going to get a carry or not? Like there's so many things. If you really want to get into some stuff, like you can start betting like no touchdowns at minus 1,000 stuff like that. Like I'm not going to be into that. It's the Super Bowl. I'm going to have fun. I don't want to be sweating bets like that. But
knowing you the way I know you, I gotta admit that 20 number. It's a lot lower than I thought you were going to come in.
I would have said higher too.
It's a tough game. It really is. But this game is so easy to price. By the time we get to this point, like there's very little value spread in total. Even most of the star players, like you're going to get the public drive some of this stuff up, but these numbers, they know what they should be at this point in the season. And even a lot of these markets are offered in like regular season games now. That you used to see only in the Super Bowl. That DraftKings will offer now in every week 12. So they know how to price things. They know how to price things.
Yeah, point.
They have a little more practice at it than they just used to throw up the board, and you'd pick off 30 things that just had no right being there. But now it's a little tighter than that.
Jesus. Before we get into what everyone is here for, and they just want the picks, right? People just want what the hell is the Goofy Newfie and Adam Beagle bets betting on? You two big mouths, just shut up and give us the picks, right? We all know how that works.
Yeah.
But I do have some questions that I pulled from DMs and just people adding us on Twitter and TikTok and everything that I put my face all over. Live betting props. You ever done any of that? Goofy Newfie?
I've dabbled, but not seriously. It's hard.
Any value
once
there,
the games, I definitely think there is. Yeah,
yeah.
I watch a lot of live watch-alongs that Bazzola does and stuff like that, and you can just sort of watch a game and say we watched the Super Bowl last week. They played basically no 12 personnel. We saw no Noah Gray. It was all Juju. What if they come out on snap one and they decide they're going to play 12 personnel? Juju's on the sidelines. They have 2 tight ends and they run the ball. Then we can adjust and maybe bet some Noah Gray overs live, right? Because they just didn't run those personnel. You kind of got to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
And say you see a guy goes down immediately, you can get value. Books are quick, but they're not that quick. If you're literally watching a game, you can sometimes grab some of the low-hanging fruit on things like that. I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's going to kill your accounts. You bet a guy who goes down and you immediately bet his backup. Yeah. How much is it worth to you? But
yeah, there you
give away all those things, right?
You know what? I had to ask you that question because I've never bet a live prop in my career of doing this. It's kind of new too. I don't think anyone really offered it in the past. I think this is relatively.
FanDuel is huge for it. I know that, and we don't have access sadly here, but I know that the FanDuel live markets are crazy.
Really,
a lot of people play them. They make good money doing it. I wish I could, but someday.
Yeah. Well, they're moving. I don't know. FanDuel's tricky. I'm actually nervous about FanDuel because I feel like they've gotten a little bit sharper than all the other predatory ones out there. Some of the limits that they offer, it's like, one of your good buddies sends you a prop to bet, and you're like, well, wait a second here. FanDuel's giving me a maximum limit on this. They're 2 yards lower or something like that. It gives me those Pinnacle vibes, So,
they're the sharpest of say the non-big 3, if you're not talking circa Pinnacle bookmaker. And I think they're sharper than some of those in certain markets. They really
are. I have to agree. And you know what? I keep saying that I'm going to do it and I haven't done yet. And nothing annoys me more than people that just talk about doing something and don't take action. I want to make a bet on their actual trading stock. Their parent company, I think, is obviously forget the name of it under the gun here, but I really think that is a good bet because I see what they're doing with how they're
Flutter Entertainment.
Thank you.
Flutter.
Yeah, I see what they're doing of how they're handling their sharp bettors. Hot stock tip, get it now. Yeah, we give everything on this.
Oh, don't mind me.
Your notebook, GRP.
Don't mind me.
But yeah, I see how they're handling their sharps. I think that's a sustainable business model. And they're great at marketing. They have all these different kinds of places that you can bet and stuff like that. So they're kind of a hybrid between the predatory model where they just put everyone to $1.48 when they're sick of you versus the Pinnacle that leaves things wide open and you can do whatever you want. And they got the big menu. So I just think it's a perfect middle ground. So I think that's a good bet.
Even their limited accounts are larger limits than Pinnacle on a lot of markets. You can get a 10% FanDuel account and bet more on an NBA prop than you can on Pinnacle, and it's not close.
It's
4x.
Exactly. Yeah. And I have one of those great 10% FanDuel accounts because of what my friends send me and what I pump into that site. But I've noticed that, and that is kind of leading the way because no one else is doing that. Aside from
it's nice to see. I wish more books would follow in that step and take something. But I get why. FanDuel still definitely deals with multi-accounting, and now they're just taking a bigger prop on their multi-accounting stuff. So I get. There's middle ground though. Yeah. I'm not saying that there should be a limit.
No. But we're former bookmakers, so we get it. We get both sides of the argument here. But it would be nice, like you said, and I said to Adam as well, for them to put up a fight. Only 5 bets in. Anyways, look, it's going in that direction again. We're so frustrated that we keep losing accounts. Jesus Christ.
We keep talking about shit that everybody knows. Let's go.
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts, yes.
Another question from the crowd. Heels. Any value in novelty bets? The Gatorade stuff, the national anthem, shit like that?
National anthem used to be a gold mine. What is my best bet every single year?
Really?
That information would leak out to the sharp gambling community every single year until I think it was 4 years ago. We had that guy up in the Light and Power booth who recorded the national anthem
Test
practice. Yeah, you got it. And posted it on Twitter. And that was sort of the end of this market. Now the limits are tiny. I mean, the number's still going to get out there, what the true number is going to be. But I mean, you can't get down anywhere near what you could. I mean, that used to be, we could get a new appliance for the house. We could take a nice trip somewhere. And it was literally free. So thank you to this guy for ruining everything. But no, I mean, the novelty stuff is for fun. I mean, if most books don't take a big limit on it. I'll say this, if you're betting on the coin toss and it's not plus 100, please find someone in the room and bet like $50 on it and flip a coin. Stop paying any vig on this. I don't care if you get comps. Stop paying vig.
That's a great tip.
Have fun.
Yeah.
It's the one game a year. Get out there, have some fun. Like, I'm going to have a party at my house. We're going to have some Super Bowl pools with all these novelty props on that everyone's going to get down a little bit on. We're going to have a bit of fun, right? And I think that's sort of how you have to approach those things.
Well done.
You're not going to get rich betting on the color of the Gatorade that gets poured on the head coach.
Well, you know what?
Although it's probably purple.
You know what I did last year? Obviously, the Chiefs were there, and the big headline was Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. Well, I have some Taylor Swift maniac fans. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that some of the offshore books were taking Taylor Swift bets, so I just sent them a list of all the bets.
And the Swifties helped you out?
They did. They're like, okay, I told them, give me probabilities, and then I can convert that to odds. Like, what are the chances? And then we'll bet with some value. If we make any money, I'll split the profits for you. So I think I ended up sending 2 dimes to Bet Online because I'm like, okay, easy in, easy out with the Bitcoin and stuff. And I made the deposit, and I go to bet these Taylor Swift edges that I had, and I think they were taking $75 per Taylor Swift bet. So I'm like, oh my God. Right. So now I'm stuck with this balance over there, and Bet Online's kind of tough to beat. So I'm like, yeah, it didn't really work out. But we did end up going like 5 for 5. So shout out to Jordana. That was my Taylor Swift insider that I went to.
Excellent.
But, people always ask me, Pisky, what do you want to, like, what's your favorite thing to bet on? I'm like, dude, I will bet on absolutely anything, whether it be football, basketball, Taylor Swift props, hamster racing. I don't care. As long as you have an edge, Flutter, gaming, whatever. As long as you have an edge, as long as I can make a little bit of this, I'm willing to bet on anything. So there you go. Hashtag always betting.
I like Goofy Newfie's approach of setting aside a kitchen appliance for the missus, and you keep everybody happy.
Exactly, buddy. I mean, that was, I'll never forget
This is
that
why
guy.
I spent so much time doing this. Look at this beautiful kitchen I got you.
Another question for you, Goof. Biggest Super Bowl bet win? Must have been a side or a total or something, no?
No.
Or was it a massive plus?
Yeah, it would have been like an MVP. I'm just trying to remember who it would have
Santonio
been. I haven't
Holmes?
had anything too crazy. No, I wish.
I hit that.
Did you?
On the spot, brother.
Yes, I did.
Oh. We'll give you a Santonio Holmes. He did that against Arizona, did he not?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Made the greatest catch in Super Bowl history.
I mean, dollar-wise, it still is the anthem, but I mean,
yeah,
I've hit some Super Bowl MVPs in like the 10 to 12 range.
Nice.
I mean, those are markets you just dabble. Yeah. This year, I don't think it's the dabble market. I think this year the favorites are play.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't usually say, but these teams are pretty straightforward actually in terms of like where the scoring is going to come from. That it shouldn't be anybody too off the radar this year.
Gotcha.
Beauty. Let me see. Do I have another one here for you? Favorite Super Bowl memory? This is an interesting one. Thank you for these questions, though, by the way, too. Like,
I will go with Cardinals Steelers. That game was electric. Just the ups and downs of watching that game. They took the lead. Larry Fitzgerald took the lead back. Santonio Holmes made one of the greatest catches ever. I went downtown to George Street in Newfoundland. I was wearing a Santonio Holmes jersey at the time. Electric night. Just absolutely electric.
That's fantastic. Where were you, Godfather?
I was in my basement of my house in Vaughan.
Oh, right. No public when the Steelers are in
public.
No public.
I cried that night. Tears of joy. I'm not ashamed.
Electric.
Do you know where I was?
I haven't fucking cried since.
Lies.
That's bullshit. I saw you watching Division 3 Polish soccer a week ago, and you had tears in your eyes.
Those are different. Those are different tears. Those are tears of aggravation.
I was in Las Vegas. I was visiting my friend that happened to be a director for Brazzers at the time. We watched that Super Bowl in a giant mansion. This is a family-friendly show.
Atmosphere models?
Yeah, lots of those around. They're just hardworking individuals. And, well, I'll combine that earlier question, biggest hit. I think that might have been the biggest win I've made in a Super Bowl. We had a defensive touchdown to be scored. And do you guys remember who scored a defensive touchdown in that game?
Which game was
James
it?
Harrison.
Against
James Harrison.
Oh, it was the Steeler game. James Harrison. What do you mean? The greatest defensive touchdown ever scored.
So
He's
I was
still
in Vegas,
rumbling,
jumping up and down, screaming. Now, Big Ben,
I'm tired, man. I'm tired, boss.
Okay. Good chat. Now, I think it's time to maybe unleash a couple of the Goofy Newfie specials on our listeners here, because I'm sure they are ramping up and they're like, okay, enough with the porn stories. Let's get to the good stuff.
That's just a pisk flex. Super Bowl and porn.
All right, let's dive in and grab a couple of bets for our loyal listeners.
Give the people what they came for, Tony.
I'm going to start with an anytime touchdown for both teams. We're going to play
they're going to love those.
Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. Anywhere in the 350 plus 400 range would be good.
Nice.
Okay. What's the lowest you would go on that? I was breaking Adam's balls about
probably
that.
Probably 350.
I'm going to say
350 would probably be the lowest I would go.
That's
also
Tony's
sprinkle first touchdown on that one too.
Oh, okay.
As well.
What kind of number are you getting on that first touchdown for Mahomes?
Let's have a look, see what the current market is.
Tony loves his first touchdown.
Yes, he does.
There's some 22s. FanDuel's got a 20. So yeah, there's some 20 to 1s, and we can still get 4 to 1. There's some 350s out there. Pinnacle's got 373 on the anytime. That's good.
That's pretty good.
Like that.
Nice.
Dallas Goedert anytime for the Eagles. I think he's going to be heavily involved for the Eagles. And you can get a 350 or plus 300 pretty much anywhere. I would take either of those. Yeah.
Okay.
They're both solid numbers.
Nice.
So
and
don't
again,
take.
I would sprinkle first touchdown as well, just for a bit of fun in the room. If those happen, those are those are good ones to split with your buddies. Yeah. Get everyone to throw in $10, put $100 on it, and the vibes that you'll get if those hit, worth every penny.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So don't play Mahomes' first touchdown less than plus 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000s are out there. I think that sounds like a good number.
I'd agree with that.
Jot them down, folks.
For some regular stuff, I am actually going to go against the market, which has been going under. This is the one prop that's been going under all week. I don't know if it got released by somebody else, but I personally love the overs on DeAndre Hopkins. I think this is the spot. He was not involved last week at all. He only played something like 16 snaps.
Yeah, he's done Stugats in the playoffs, really.
But in a game like this, I think in a big moment, he's still got great hands. They're going to use him a lot in these like 3rd and 4. If they double Kelsey, I think it's going to be Hopkins. So I like Hopkins to go over 1.5 catches. That's plus money right now. Also like his over yards
two balls
11.5. Yeah, two balls 11.5 is the yardage. I think that's a good bet as well. And I'm also going to sprinkle an anytime touchdown for him.
Ooh.
Which is currently going to be
beauty.
There's a lot of love for Juju. I think last game
he
overinflated Juju's numbers, and I think that's gone backwards. I'm looking to play. I'll let this one out because I haven't bet it yet. Please don't smash the market. I'm looking to play Juju unders, but it's one of those I'm waiting on the market. I like his under catches, under yards. I don't think that's going to be the game script against the Eagles. They're too good up front. I think they go heavier. I like Noah Gray and I like DeAndre Hopkins. Noah Gray is the other over that I'll lay out.
Okay.
Which is currently also plus money over 1.5 catches. You can get plus 115 or plus 120 right now. I make that closer to 2.5.
Wow.
So I have that as a pretty big edge.
People will definitely eat that up.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only, or one of the only ones. I know I was taught this by very successful sports bettors, but playing unders in Super Bowls, right? It's always unders. So the hearing over come out of your mouth is pretty exciting, because I know that we'll probably have a little bit of action on that stuff. Good. What you like those, Godfather?
Buddy.
Yeah. Well, listen, Tony's thought process is pretty solid there. So, and the numbers,
they're not
the prices.
They're not huge,
the prices make sense. So, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, 2 balls plus money. I mean, even a Strones like me is going to say, yeah, I'll take a shot at that. Why not?
I'll also lay out one more thing that the market seems to have, I think, overcorrected for, and that's Pacheco and Hunt. Pacheco is still starting all of these games. He's getting 2-3 touches in the first quarter on the first drive, almost pretty regularly, and then he's not doing a lot with it. And then they seem to be switching to Hunt. Hunt's been playing well, and Andy Reid says the hot hand. But that being said, I do think he's going to start again. So if something happens and he comes out and he rips off a couple of big runs, this could be a much bigger Pacheco game, and these numbers are very low for him. I also really like over first quarter carry or first quarter yards was like 7.5 for him. I think that's a great look, because I do think he's going to come out in the first team offense. They're going to start him and not Hunt. They've been doing it the entire playoffs, and then it switches over. But I think there's an opportunity here for him to have a better game than the market is projecting.
Okay. You know what? I for as little as I follow, so don't listen to me or take a grain of salt before you listen to me. But I've seen that, because Pacheco was coming back from that injury, right? So I think they were babying him a little bit, and given that extra week of rest.
What are we holding on for now?
Yeah, exactly. Go forward, push.
It's true.
The market right now is 42.5 rushing yards for Hunt, and Pacheco is only 21.5. So
okay.
There's definitely, I think that is overcorrected now. So maybe look at some overs on Pacheco, some unders on Hunts as well. A little bonus if you've made it this far.
Beauty. Okay, well, I think we've loaded up all the picks for the people, which is great, and I know everyone will appreciate that greatly. What are you doing for the Super Bowl? You're having a party at your place?
I always have a big Super Bowl get together at my place, friends, kids, wives, and we do a big potluck. And being a former chef, a lot of my buddies are former chefs or still chefs. I will put the spread at my place
up against anybody. Gotcha.
Anywhere on planet Earth, my brother. Like, we put a lot of work into this one.
I look forward to that content coming through on our channels.
Please
send some pictures.
Yeah.
Should be very good.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Godfather, any last comments? Questions?
Well, we gotta ask Goofy Newfie who's winning the Super Bowl. Never mind props.
Well, that
who you got?
Question.
Chiefs, come on. I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes. It's a 1-point spread. You're asking me to get Patrick Mahomes to just win these games. He just wins these games. Like, it's at some point it's not fluke, and this guy just wins these close games. And we're witnessing something special. I think we really are. We're witnessing something special. And
just
I'm
to
here
bring
for
you up to date on Adams, he had basically the same reaction you just did. Like, what? KC?
I don't get it. Like, I think we're literally looking at a team that is on an absolute. We're going to look back in 10 years or 15 years and be like, this is one of the best.
Well, 3 in a row is a fucking
already. Of course.
Yeah, but now, I don't even think we're done.
Neither do I. I think there's still definitely a lot more gas left in the tank, and I'll correlate it to this, Goof. Remember the Jake Paul fight and the Tyson? And you and I were going back and forth and like, oh my God, this could be an opportunity of a lifetime, blah, blah, blah. And when that fight was going down, it was super heavily bet. You remember the limits that we were getting at places like FanDuel and Penny and all that stuff? Yeah. So all of my square buddies were like, how in God's name is Tyson an underdog to this loser? Right? I think they hated Jake Paul and they just remember Tyson knocking people out in the 80s. Okay.
But it wasn't even that. It was his training videos. His training videos
him
were like
bag.
fucking. Come on,
dude. You sound like my dad. Are you sure you want to bet Steph Curry under threes? Are you sure? Because man, he's really good at those. Like that. That's what you're watching on SportsCenter. So yeah, you're watching Tyson's highlight reels, and you're going ahead and betting accordingly. Okay. But the same thing is happening here on this Super Bowl. So we just had two guys that bet very seriously, that do very well for themselves, come on and say, we're all over the Chiefs. I can't think any other way. I don't see Eagles at all. Yet all of my square buddies keeps texting me, fly, Eagles, fly. So
really?
Yeah.
I was just about to say that I've been speaking to a lot of people that model, and a lot of models are saying that the Eagles are up the side.
Oh, really?
The math is showing that the Eagles are up the side, and I wouldn't be surprised. We're starting to see it now. I'm looking at Bet Online right now, and we're down to +1, and the Eagles are now -103. I think over the weekend we are going to see some Eagles.
Okay.
There has been resistance, we'll say, to the Chiefs. Like last week, there was a lot of late money on the Bills. The week before, there was a lot of late money on the Texans. So I wouldn't be surprised. Normally, I would say I want to bet the Chiefs right now, but I'm honestly waiting to bet the favorite in the game because I do think there's going to be Eagles. So if you want the Chiefs, I think, in my opinion, take it on Sunday or Saturday. And if you want the Eagles, I think take it right now.
There you go. Spoken like a true pro. Godfather, what are you digging for over there?
I got a low battery on my laptop. I grabbed the. Anyway, don't mind me. Way to go, Toe.
I was expecting some sort of prop or something that was going to be pulled out.
Well, I can pull out the hammer. I have it beside me if you want to see the hammer again.
I'm just glad you didn't show up with that stinking trophy there that you think.
Oh fuck! I forgot.
Or wearing the helmet. I was expecting.
No, the helmet's in the case, so I'm not opening the case. Nobody gets to touch the case.
All right, gentlemen, let's wrap this one up. Goofy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Tony.
Always a pleasure, and you're natural.
Anytime,
man.
boys.
When we start doing this stuff for real, like where is the future? That's another question that we've got a lot. Where is the future of the podcast going? We're gonna figure it out. The Godfather and I have made it to the finish line. We've been granted a great presence here by the Goofy Newfie and Adam Beagle Bets. Yep. So thank you both for that. But we're going to take some time and figure out what the next step is for the pod. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this. I hope you win every single one of the bets that you make on Sunday. And at the end of the day, have fun with it. Because,
absolutely.
There's
no more football for 7 months after Sunday, lads.
Man.
So enjoy the game.
So sad. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Thanks, guys.